So, truth be told, y'all, I actually did not watch the last episode of Real Housewives of Potomac until just a few moments ago. But I did happen to look online last night because honestly, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. Watching Real Housewives of Potomac has become a stress watch for me. I know that it's become a stress watch for many of you. And I don't know, it was very interesting. Before I watched the episode last night when I saw this, it kind of made me feel like, and I just need to know what y'all think. So chime down if you are watching this and you feel the same way or if you feel differently. Candace says in a tweet, thanks to our friends over at Reality Chat, let's just call a spade a spade. This is what trying to get you fired looks like. It's clear as day and weak and tired. Okay. Now this comes as I'm assuming a response to a commenter who said, so clearly Gizelle, Ashley, and Robyn are trying to ask Candace off the show. Stop it already, especially with the stunt that Robyn pulled last season. So I want to look at this from the lens of how I also felt watching the episode as well. And there did seem to me to be a little bit of icing going onto this cake that we call Potomac, down to the Austin for what feels like the 18th episode of the Austin trip. Okay. Um, I couldn't help but think that. Now, was I colored by this tweet? I don't know. But I can definitely tell you that that's the vibe that the show is giving. Now, whether or not that is the fault of Wendy or Ashley, you need to tell me. Okay. But I know that the optics of it look crazy. Let's call a thing a thing. The optics of this look like it's giving very much school days vibes. For those of you guys who remember that show, it's giving school days vibes just a wee bit. With the light skinned girls, basically not really wanting to engage with the dark skinned girls or the chocolate girls or the cocoa colored girls. That's what it's given. And there's no other way to put it. Now, whether or not that's the case, whether or not that's purposeful or not, or just as a result of circumstance, I can only tell you that that's what it looks like. And I'm going to be frank with you. I'm going to be honest with you from an observer's perspective. That's all that I was thinking of when I was watching this episode, which is unfortunate because I did feel like the producers tried their hardest to give us a little bit of the fun and the sort of interesting camaraderie that we used to get in the old days of Potomac. All right. So let's get into the episode itself. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would have to rate my level of actual enjoyment of this episode at a 7. Um, to me, it's just hard with Potomac right now because you get the sense that this is an eternally fractured group of ladies who just seem to be getting along to just get along for the sake of collecting the check. And when we've gotten to this point where you basically are saying to another cast member, just don't engage with her, the reality of what that means is that if we don't engage with her, she really has nothing to do. And we have control of the larger group. So it's going to be really a no brainer that a la Danielle Staub filming by herself, what's she gonna do? Okay. So that's kind of what it's given. And it's given, watching the other girls sort of corral around Robyn, who I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to be corralled around. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because everybody does. Everybody deserves to have friendship and support, even in our times where we aren't our most perfect selves. And so I'm not denying that should happen, but there's something that Karen pointed out in that, we can't value one cast member's tears over another. Okay. Now let's be clear. I'm a little confused by Candace as well in certain instances, because to me, I don't even quite understand why she would want to be friends with Robyn at this point. Based on how she has felt about Robyn's actions, really, I would say during the reunion, whereas conversely, throughout the season, it seemed like Robyn was in full support of Candace and Chris. During the reunion, her tune changed quite a bit, where she talked about the inappropriateness of a man being in another woman's hotel room while he is married, which is odd considering that even in next week's episode, we hear the admission of Juan saying he went to the woman who he barely knows hotel room or hotel to pay for her room. Isn't that ironic? So it's hard for me to even understand why Candace would want to be her friend in any way. I felt like Candace should have stood 10 toes down in what she said about Robyn, and feeling like Robyn was the fraud, okay? Because they are going to use that clip until the end of time, okay? If they don't play that clip once or twice an episode, I swear to God, now that would seem to be the only clip that they have of her talking like that about Robyn. But I ain't mad at it, because you know why? Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Because we get to see our good friend over at House of Aaron on the show every week. Okay, so I mean, listen, it's a win-win for us, especially in this content creator space. You know what I'm saying? To see one of our own on the screen. Okay, I mean, it is what it is. Let's call a thing a thing. I mean, so we've got something to cheer about. We're gonna cheer about that. All right. As you guys know, I celebrate content creators in general. It is my belief that, on this platform, that you show love, you show respect, and you show compassion for your fellow creators. That's my motto. That's how I live and I breathe. That's also something that I learned from, Funky, when I first got on this platform. So, it's always going to be love here for me. All right. And that goes across the board for anybody. So let's get back to it. Let's get to the tea of the episode, all right? We're still in Austin. It's only day 3, although it feels like day 30. I suppose it has been 30 days for us because we was on hiatus for at least 2 weeks. So Gizelle and Ashley are setting up Karen's triple 20 painting party, and Ashley says something so hilarious. She's like, well, we're all friends here. I'm like, where? Where are the friends? Because I see 2 groups of friends, but I don't see a whole group of friends. Anyway, we get a flashback of Gizelle talking about how crazy Karen is, and it is a reminder of when Potomac used to be fun. Granted, as I look back, it's always been riddled with controversy, but much of the controversy in the past, when it was in its heyday, was actually dealing with the husbands. If you can't recall, okay. But now they've moved to the scandal involving each other, still with the husbands. I guess that ain't really changed. It just got worse. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Ashley, we learned, ain't been to her mama house in 2 years because she's still with that man in that toxic relationship, the man who is allegedly a cheater. And I'm like, well, now, girl, I guess there's a difference between having, being married to somebody who allegedly was cheating and they rich versus somebody who was allegedly cheating and they broke. Okay. Because listen, I mean, pay, I guess as the saying goes, pay her for her pain, and Ashley is hopefully getting paid for the pain that she's been through. Unlike, unfortunately, Miss Mama don't sound like she getting paid for the pain. But we do like Ashley's mama nonetheless. Okay. We won't have any mama hate over here. All right. Anyway, it's pool time for the rest of the ladies. Karen, who has retired her mouth from doing any um uh fellationic activities. That's what we'll call it. That sounds good, don't it? Fellationic. I like that. Fellatiana. That's what we'll call Karen's new name is Fellatiana. How about it? Okay, Fellatiana for the win. But she ain't really giving none. Oh, who cares? Anyway, Candace and Wendy are at the bar with her taking birthday drinks. And, we learned that a couple of key facts. Karen has hair down there. Thank the Lord. Okay. Is it blonde? One never knows. Candace admits that she had a unibrow and the mustache. And Wendy also admits that her eyebrows grow to her hairline. Okay. Fun little facts that if you didn't know, now you know. Anyway, Wendy also reveals that her mama is in the hospital. She found out when they landed in Austin about a year ago. And she also has surgery this morning. We do see this in a flashback, and it's apparently going to be a 10-minute laparoscopic procedure in which they will insert a camera inside of her belly to see what is wrong. We don't yet get an update on what actually is wrong, so I don't know what it was. But this, according to Wendy, is why she was so triggered by Aneka and all of the things that Aneka was saying during the trip about the shrinery of it all. Now, Candace in her confessional does not think that it is fair to conflate the issues with Aneka and the shrine with Wendy's mama being in the hospital. And I was like, no, that's an accurate observation. It is nice to see that Candace, while she and Wendy are close, is still able to observe an honest piece of criticism or feedback, regardless of the fact that is her friend or not. Okay. Robyn, Aneka, and Mia spend time playing in the pool, and Mia brings up walking into the argument. Well, the argument between Wendy and Aneka from the day before, and reveals how Wendy later said that she was triggered by, because being Nigerian and with Aneka using the shrine in the negative way, okay, it was triggering for her. Aneka says that is crazy talk, because she says, now there are positive shrines or whatever the case may be. Again, I am not familiar with the shrinery of it all, the shrining. And so this is a very difficult conversation for me to even have or continue. I feel like we beat this subject upon the head like the horse that is lying, unfortunately falling at our feet. And at this point, I would just prefer to bury it and move on. If I never hear about a shrine again, I'm actually okay. Unless it is a positive thing, in which case somebody needs to go submit some good names for some good prayers. I just don't know enough about it to have a comment any further on this topic. Okay. So anyway, Aneka in her confessional alleges that there is more that she could reveal. But then she always says, I'm open to a conversation with Wendy because I don't really dislike the gal. And I'm like, now, I now have to say what? Why? Well, why didn't we just have this conversation to start? There is nothing better than a one-on-one sit down Ponderosa in which the two people who have the issue get into get to the bottom of it all, versus having these continuous blow-ups amongst the group, and the group being totally unaware of what is actually the problem. Okay. And if the group is unaware, can you imagine what the audience feels? So to me, I feel like they could take a tip from Beverly Hills. On Beverly Hills, the episode prior to, Garcelle had gotten fed up with Dorit and her privilege. And she let her know in front of the group. The following episode, we got a sit-down Ponderosa, an intense sit-down Ponderosa with Garcelle and Dorit. And we are able to nip that issue in the bud right away. Now, I don't know who the fault of that is, production or the cast, but I know that this Ponderosa should have happened about 3 episodes ago. Okay. Anyway, Robyn then says that Wendy brings all the attention back to herself, talking about her family members being attacked. But Robyn then brings the attention back to herself and says, no, my family is being attacked. And I'm like, girl, you initiated this. Nobody told you to get up on your podcast and try to charge people $5.99 to hear about your husband allegedly going down to the hotel and paying for a stranger. Nobody asked you to admit that. I did not. Okay. Juan told you not to do it, and you did it anyway. So if you want to blame somebody for attacking your family, then you need to look deep within. Okay, look deep within into your heart and your soul, and you will find the answers there. The call, my dear, is coming from inside the house. Actually, it's in the attic along with the flowers. And so, as we continue on, everyone arrives to the painting party, and they're painting their best Karen Huger. And Karen wants everybody to get along. Candace is oddly still stuck in this beef with Robyn and doesn't know how they got there. And I'm like, Candace, let me help you. Okay. You are there because Robyn withheld key information about her alleged, her husband's alleged indiscretion. Now, she released this information online and you reacted to it as you should. Point blank in the period. She didn't like that you reacted to it. Okay. She didn't like it. So now are we settled on this? Because that's why we're in the beef. And you should be okay with it, to be honest with you. Unless I think that maybe, quite possibly, Candace was thinking, well, we were friends, and so now we should be able to potentially work this out. But I think in order for them to do that, Robyn is expecting for Candace to maybe apologize for calling her a fraud. But should she apologize for calling her a fraud? Because I felt like that's how Candace actually felt. Actually, that's how most people felt. Is it understandable that Robyn did not want to admit any of this on camera? Sure. Then don't ever mention it again, especially on your podcast, and then try to get the people to pay to hear about it. Anyway, they all go around and they paint Karen, and then they show off the paintings, and Robyn, paints a blue check because last episode about a year ago, we found out that Karen was paying for her blue check on the Twitter. And so they then have a good moment where, Karen gives Robyn her flowers, and she basically says, if we could ever stop fighting with each other and bickering, I would like the opportunity to get to know you better. Lord have mercy, it took us 8 seasons, but we finally are maybe getting some resolve between Karen and Robyn. And I believe that what Karen knows to be true, probably more so than anybody else, is that conflict and resolve is the way that this show needs to work. And in order for it to continue to work and for them to continue to get paid and collect a check, then they're going to have to make nice with each other at some point. Now, the rest of the ladies, I don't think that they have picked up that memo yet. I think that that's what Candace was attempting to do, but Robyn is expecting something before that can happen. Now, should she expect it? I don't know. That's up to Candace. Gizelle is so funny at the end, as I would love to get back to, can we just get back to the lightweight shade? And I'm like, ma'am, if we want to get back to the lightweight shade, then that would require a huge change from you. Okay. Because yes, you can say your husband made me feel uncomfortable by this action. But what you can't say is he's a sneaky link and wanted to see if I was with it, because that is we go into a different territory at that point, and you made it up. Okay. So at that point, it becomes a situation where you have now painted yourself into a corner where lightweight shade no longer exists, because it is now an indiscretion that you are describing, for which it would be very difficult for anybody to come back from. So it's time, Ashley, who has been on the drag queen tour, okay, like the Renaissance, is trying to get everybody to go to the dinner, okay, before the drag show. So we learned that Wendy's mom has made it out of surgery, okay, thank God. And everybody dons their tightest garb for the festivities. I did enjoy the walking shot as they were walking into the restaurant, because I was like, finally, we getting some glam and some glitz or something like that, which is something that this show so desperately needs. And that also goes into the way that the show is produced, okay? if we could focus a little bit more on giving us some level of fabulosity. I mean, Wendy was working for it in that bodysuit. I don't want to see this Mugler bodysuit no more. Let me just say that because I didn't seen it on too many housewives. But I will say that Wendy was wearing it to perfection. I'm not even going to hold you on that one. It is probably the one of the times where I've seen it that I'm like, oh, somebody did it and they did it. Okay. But I don't want to see it no more because I didn't seen it on every housewife. Okay. I feel like I didn't seen it all over the place. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it no more. I didn't see it in every size, shape, and color. Meanwhile, it's time for the obligatory sit-down dinner. All right, Mia talks about how she gained weight, she lost weight. You know, last year was hard. Gordon is hardening. Okay, fine. Hardening, not in a good way. I guess hardening in his heart for his family because they didn't took all his money or whatever like that. I don't know, allegedly. Okay, something going on with the money. He ain't got it. She ain't got it either. Okay, that's all I know. All right. But she's fine with not having it because I feel like she's probably of the mindset that I'll get it back, you know, one way or another, because I'm a boss. I'm a boss like Marie. And so because of that, I feel like she just feeling like, you know, we're gonna make it do what it do and make it pop with it pop some kind of way. Now, whether or not that means divorce, I don't know. So anyway, Ashley then brings up the drama. And I felt like everybody at the table knew, okay, somebody got to stir it up. So she talks about how emotional Candace was in the car yesterday over Robyn, and you know, Ashley projecting in her loudest voice does not understand why it is fine to bash Robyn on social media because the remorse in the car and the actions in the past don't align. I will say that that is probably true. I mean, I am in confusion over why, you know, Candace is emotional about Robyn, but I also think that maybe sometimes people soften when they see another person becoming emotional. And I would wager that that is probably Candace because I feel like emotions register with Candace. And I think that seeing that level of emotion from Robyn, who we have traditionally never seen, get so emotional is probably triggering for Candace and maybe lending itself to her wanting to fix things with the person who was formerly her friend. So if that may explain Candace's emotional state of being over Robyn, because I will, you know, me seeing somebody cry is triggering, and I probably would soften in that same situation because I don't think that the beef was so bad that they could never come back from it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Candace spoke her truth and how she felt about it. And sometimes that comes at a cost. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to be prepared for that. I mean, that's just the reality of life when you speak about it. And that's the hard thing about maintaining friendships on a reality TV show is that you have to be honest, and then you still have to, you know, if you have to engage, you do your interviews, and unfortunately, those things will be taken back and they will be used against you. I mean, and that's just the fact. Um, So Candace is not addressing Ashley. She's like, I'm not going to do it with you today. And Ashley shades her that she addresses things within the group, and Candace takes things to social media. Candace basically tells her that she can talk to her arse, okay? And Ashley says, well, give me a view of your arse as you walk away. And Candace emphatically lets her know that you will not be putting me out of ish. Now, here is the moment where I started to feel like, mm, mm, do they want you gone, girl? Do they want? Are you about to be gone, girl? You know, because as Ashley's telling her that, it did give gone, girl, leave. You can leave. Okay, in my best Meredith Marks voice. Um, So Wendy then interjects to ask Robyn if they can have potentially a good conversation. Robyn says no. What she did was unforgivable. Now let me get this right. You can easily forgive this man who has gone to the hotel to pay for a stranger's room. Okay. Now, granted, you have known this man longer. You have been intimate with this man. You have bore children with this man. You are married to this man. I do understand it. But this man has publicly embarrassed you, and then you have publicly embarrassed yourself. So I would think that Candace reacting to this is probably a little less. I mean, it seems the crime seems a little less than one other crime that you are easily able to forgive. I mean, we don't know because we didn't see it, and you're not telling us anything about it. And the only time when we see Juan, he's just chastising you. So I don't know. And this man continues to speak to you the way that he does, embarrassing you further on national television. He's easily able to be forgiven, but Candace is not. And I understand the dynamics of being in a relationship with somebody versus just having a friendship with somebody, especially on these shows where traditionally these people are not really friends. However, comment.org, let's talk about the crime and the punishment. Okay. Um, does Robyn have a right to be upset? She does. She does. Like Wendy and Aneka, Robyn and Candiace probably need to have a one-on-one Ponderosa. Why that has not happened yet, I don't know. But these conversations within the group always lead to some level of combustible outrage and screaming, yelling, and somebody walking off. Why has nobody in the group simply said, specifically Gizelle and or Karen? Well, we can't count on Gizelle to do it because she don't like none of the girls. Um, she don't like Wendy or Karen or Candace at this point. Um, does she maybe have her own right to not like them? I don't know, maybe so. But again, the optics of it are crazy looking. Anyway, Gizelle ain't gonna do it. I mean, so could maybe Karen do it? Because she seems to be able to get along with everybody. So if not Karen, then maybe why hasn't Mia done it? And if Ashley's so invested in it, maybe why doesn't Ashley try to do it, but she ain't getting along with Candace. So it just nobody's gonna do it. Okay, so then can production make it happen? I mean, that's the good question because I mean, is production what are we doing? Is anybody leading the ship here? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that in a way, why haven't we done that yet? Because in my mind, I would be screaming to them, like, somebody, y'all need to have a conversation because we cannot continue down this path for the rest of the season. Somebody gonna have to sit down with somebody, and I'm gonna need it to happen ASAP. Because I would rather them have a one-on-one conversation and figure out, can we work this out or not? And then at least try to move on from it. Because if Garcelle and Dorit can have this serious conversation about, essentially about race, y'all can't have this conversation over these petty little issues. Anyway, I digress. So at that point, Candace says that she asked Robyn if she was mad, and Robyn ignored her. And I do think that in the ignoring, that has to tell you that this person is no longer interested in a friendship, in my opinion. You just have to look at it like that. Because if she wanted to, if Robyn wanted to save the friendship, then she could have said, yeah, I'm mad at you. You said X, Y, and Z about me, and I didn't like that. And that's not something I feel like a friend would do. But that to me would go also into being or this idea or this notion that Juan wants her to be the bigger person. And Robyn, who we will later learn, just doesn't have the capability to be that. Now, girl, you can't be to a certain degree, I feel like Robyn is the cog in the wheel. There are a couple of cogs in the wheel here, but Robyn is definitely one of them. And I think that by removing Robyn from the equation of this group, you would have a better potential to see how these ladies fare with one less member of the Potomac Fox Force 5. And that's exactly what we have here with I would say Ashley, I would say Mia, I would say Gizelle, I would say Robyn, and I would say Aneka. The Fox Force 5 all over again from Beverly Hills. And we know how unenjoyable watching them made Beverly Hills. Okay. I could go further on that one, but I'm gonna leave it alone because that's a conversation I don't feel like anybody is really ready for. So, and why it worked differently on Beverly Hills versus how it's working on Potomac. Okay, there's a lot that goes into that, but again, I'm gonna leave that for another day. All right. But I'll let you guys guess. You tell me what you think the difference is. I'm interested in knowing. So anyway, Candace says that, now in front of the group, though, Robyn is playing damsel in distress. And Robyn is done. I'm 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 like, please be done at this point. And it's no shade. As you know, as I've said before, I'm never a fan of like saying that somebody needs to go. But if I'm looking at this from a production standpoint, somebody need to go. And I think that somebody needs to be Robyn right now, because I kind of feel like when you tell me and your tagline is I don't really care, why are we here? Why are we here, Ike? If you don't care, why should I care? Meanwhile, Robyn says she's not a victim. This is her reality. And Candace says it is not her fault nor her problem. Robyn doesn't feel like any of them should use social media to weaponize against each other. And Candace feels like they shouldn't try to weaponize her husband. And the line is always moving. Okay. And I would imagine being in Candace's shoes, somebody who has come into this show who has witnessed the women go back and forth, witnessed the way that these women have kind of gone after each other, and then joining in the fray, and then Candace coming in and having a mouth that actually works a bit faster than the rest of the ladies. I can understand how she herself could look at this and think, oh, well, when I'm doing the same thing that you guys are doing it, but I'm doing it in a way where the lashing is more lethal, now all of a sudden it's too much for you, right? And I'm trying not to go back too far into the past and how so much of this show has been shaped by things that have happened historically. And now it has led us to this point where we are here, where the show has become ultimately unenjoyable by the fans overall. It's interesting, especially from some of us who've been watching this show from the beginning, right? This group has always, at the root of it, been a little bit about icing someone out. And we've seen it play out. We saw it play out with the Monique situation. And if I were to be a betting man, I would probably bet that the ladies, or at least the head girls in charge, probably never really liked Candace, but Candace worked to their advantage because they also didn't like Monique. So when Candace and Monique fell out, it was extra convenient to then rally around Candace in order to oust Monique. Then once that happened, it became a situation where who else is dispensable in this group? Well, Wendy, of course. She's a weak link. She's obviously changing her body to keep her man, because there's been rumors out there about him. So let's bring that forth to the group. And so then Wendy became persona non grata, because she dared to confront the green-eyed bandits, i.e. the girls in charge. And then she became, again, public enemy number one. Then ultimately it was, oh, well, we haven't really messed around with Chris in a while, so let's do that. Aha, we never really liked Candace anyway, and now that she has all this mouth, we don't really want her around. So you know what? Let's not engage with her. It's been a pattern that has happened over the course of this show. The fact that nobody is willing to do anything to disrupt this pattern is what makes this show so unwatchable. Not unwatchable. I don't want to say that, because I don't want to go that far, because I feel like that there's still it's not I don't like that aspect of the show. I don't dislike these people. I just dislike what they do. So if we can learn to start to separate the things that people do from the person themselves, I feel like we'll have maybe a much better time with sort of rationalizing, even myself, like how some of this stuff is playing out. But as I do watch it, it's just hard, man. I gotta admit it. So anyway, Robyn runs off to call Juan. Mia, being sympathetic to Robyn, is very much like we're not being nice friends to her. And Karen reminds them not to value Robyn's tears over Candace's. Mia says, well, Robyn is going through a lot. And Karen reminds her that Robyn has decided that it is okay with her, everything that she is going through. So what are they supposed to do? And I'm in total agreement with Karen at this point. Robyn has decided her fate. Period. There's nothing anybody else can do about it. And Aneka reasons that Candace needs to hold herself accountable. Robyn, who has run off yet again, calls Juan. And interestingly, she's like, why can't I see you? What's wrong with your FaceTime? Juan is like, I don't know. So she's on FaceTime with him, but she can't see no face. Robyn says, what are you doing? Juan, laundry, folding clothes. Yes, that's what I'm doing. Laundry, folding clothes. I was like, I don't know. The optics of that phone call look crazy to me, but that's whatever it is. But I think it's also because we just listen to Juan and we take what he says with a grain of salt, because some of the things that he says just never seem all that believable, but whatever. Anyway, she tells him what's going on, and he's like, well, you should just be the bigger person for once and listen to her and hear her out. I'm not mad at the feedback that he tried to give her, but she ain't trying to be the bigger person, and she is not trying to hear him. So she effectively hangs up. Gizelle comes out and she tells Robyn, just don't engage with Candace. Just don't even engage. Ice her out with me, girl. Yeah. She'll be gone by next season. Yes. Cue Mia and Ashley coming running over to check on Robina. Robyn just can't handle being friends with somebody who can't stand it. She's just not perfect. Okay, she's just not perfect, and it's hard to be friends with somebody like Candace. Back at the table, Wendy doesn't give a darn it about whether or not Robyn is upset, whether Juan is cheating or not. She just wants some more scallops, and me too, girl. That's all I would like is some scallops. But she does advise the difference in these friendship groups is so intriguing to me. So while Gizelle is advocating for Robyn to just ignore her like me, girl, join me. Wendy, on the other hand, is at least saying, have a conversation with her. She can at least recognize that the two of them have something special. And it's just interesting to note the dynamics and the dichotomy here, because there's such a big range in how the two groups are telling each person how to handle things, right? So Candace feels like it's all a game, but she still wants a conversation. Once they get back to the table, I noticed that Mia switches seats with Robyn, and Gizelle has to give Karen a lap dance, and Ashley has to give her a kiss for some reason. They played a game of quarters. I don't know. So at this point, this point right here, the thing that didn't play too well for me was Candace warning, okay, that Karen should just be on the lookout because of things like the herps and the HPVs and the claps and the siffers, and I was just like, I think we just went down a rabbit hole. Wrong road. I was like, abort. Okay, abort. The last time we got into a discussion about anything that had to do with like the diseases, it was the hot box comment. If you guys don't recall that, and it never plays well. Okay, it just never plays well. FYI. Okay, so I didn't really like that. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But that's just me. Anyway, as they are loading up to the cars to head to the drag show, Candace tells Ashley, girl, don't ride in the car with us. Get in that other car. And Ashley's like, well, now I'm getting in the car. So it's very evident to me as the ladies in the other car, like, whoo, Ashley's a brave one. Ooh, I can't believe Ashley over there with them girls. Whoo. It just becomes ultra apparent that the Fox Force 5 do not care for either the trifecta of Candace, Karen, or Wendy, or at least just Wendy and Karen. And Candace. And I think we know which one that is. Meanwhile, they get to the club and everybody is wearing Karen t-shirts, which is nice, and it's time for the drag show. The ladies, get up on stage when it's time to walk the runway, and Wendy is hitting that walk, okay? Wendy is walking that walk and popping it in that Mugler jumpsuit, and Nneka is behind her giving the thumbs down. See, the problem here, again, even with Nneka, is that, yeah, we get that you don't like Wendy. We don't know why you don't. Well, we know why, I think. We kind of understand it to a certain degree, but kind of not. And I guess that we just don't know enough about you, Nneka. For me, it doesn't, I don't know enough about you to, actually, that's not the problem. The problem here is, if you're going to give her the thumbs down, then your walk needs to be spectacular. And it was not. So, but everybody ain't got to be able to walk. Everybody ain't got to be able to do a Naomi Campbell walk. But I think in the spirit of what they were trying to do and trying to inject some fun into this episode, I just kind of feel like it was a little tragic to me that she couldn't even be like, just getting into the spirit of the moment. Maybe it was playful shade, but it would have been a lot more playful if y'all weren't in such a dark and dismal place. Okay. Wendy actually said she saw this on social media before she actually knew that was the case with Nneka. Karen ends up crawling on the stage and somehow wins, because obviously it's her birthday. She wins the walk off, and and that's pretty much the episode. The core of this episode seemed to be about Karen and how she is really the nucleus of this group. And I would wager, almost say the true leader of this group, because unfortunately, it seems like Gizelle has abandoned that title because she is more concerned with her dislike for Candace and Wendy outweighs everything else. The other thing that seemed really apparent to me is that there was a concerted effort to inject some much needed fun back into this. The problem is it has come at such a point where there has been such a lack of fun that it almost feels like, well, what's the point now, right? So anyway, y'all let me know what y'all felt about this episode. Hopefully we can work our way back into the Potomac that we used to know and love. But that was, I would say, the last time we really loved it like that. Looking back on it now was probably season 4. So I don't know, and then, no, let me not say that, because there were some glimpses in season 6 of just some outstanding editing, some outstanding fun. But beyond that, it just has turned into, Mean Girl Central. And I just don't know that that's as fun for people to watch as I think that they would have maybe anticipating. All right. So that's my review of the Real Housewives of Potomac. With that being said, I have got to give you guys my promo for my book. Book 2 will be out soon. If you haven't gotten book 1, Desiree's Desire, it's available on Amazon and Audible. So you can get your paperback copies, you can get your ebook, you can get the Kindle version, you can get your Audible version, listen to it. And book 2 will be out very soon. But please, if you haven't already done so, give me a review on Amazon. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you guys possibly can, I would love it. If not, just continue to enjoy the books. And I will see you in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't hear that from me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her all her dirty little secrets, just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?